Sarah Dawkins. It's been 3 weeks. I know everybody has been waiting to see Sarah and really reconnect and really interact in a really positive way based on the word gratitude, which I think is an excellent word. And we're really interested in hearing what your definition of gratitude is, or what areas that you would like us to be directed to so we can give you as many valuable, wonderful takeaways as possible that you can get full benefit for your time, thought, and effort. With that said, chat's wide open. I'll turn it over to Sarah. Sarah can bring you a little bit up to date and her first initial thoughts on gratitude.
Hi everyone, nice to be back on the show. Thank you, Don. I can't believe it's been 3 weeks. I mean, where has that time just gone? It's just flown. But gratitude is really dear to my heart. It's something I practice every single day. And what is it really? It's about appreciation and thankfulness, and it's about expressing that as well. And how can we express it? Well, we can say thank you to people for things they do for us. That's one way of expressing it. Another way is in action. We can do things for people without any expectation of anything after we've done something. So we're not expecting anything back. We're not even expecting a thank you. We're doing it because we want to express ourselves in the way of gratitude to that person. And it's just so powerful because when we're thankful for what we've got in our lives, it makes us look in a more positive way at what we have got, what we can do, and what we're able to do. Whereas when we don't express gratitude, we can fall into negativity and complaining. So if we express that gratitude, it opens our mind to find more things to express gratitude for. So for me, it's a positive word, a positive statement when we start with I am thankful for,
Mm-hmm.
because I am is very powerful anyway. I am thankful. And for me, I'm thankful for not just all the blessings in my life, I'm also thankful for all the lessons in my life, because I wouldn't be where I was today without both of those. And in every situation, there can be a blessing and a lesson. And, we do get hard knocks in life, but those hard knocks can challenge us and send us off on a different path. And if we hadn't had that, we might still be within the same drudgery, doing the same things all the time. So for me, one thing that I'm grateful for was that awful suicidal depression I went through. Because without that, I would still be stuck in a rut. That radically changed my life and sent me off on a totally different path, a path I would have never have seen if I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't been there. So for most people, we think of gratitude as that expressing thankfulness for the positive things in life, but we can also express gratitude for some of the challenges, the difficult situations, and the negative experiences we've had, because there's a lesson in that as well. So I'm thankful I went through that to see the lesson, which then led to a blessing.
That is so beautiful, Sarah. And, it's so valuable to so many people who are going through something or about to go through something or just come out of something. Everybody's around everything you're talking about. And I think the key to gratitude is, first of all, the awareness of what you have, right? To identify all of the wonderful things that you take for granted because they're in such close sight. And the other element is that now it has something you can measure against when something bad happens,
Yeah.
right? Because if you have a wall of wonderful uh, benefit, whether it's friends, family, environment, whatever, there's whatever you could think that's what could support you.
Yeah.
Then when something is say, well, compared to what I have, it's not a big deal, especially if it is a money or thing. right?
Yeah.
Because whenever I lose that, I just figure, there's a saying says you never own anything in this world. It's only on lend, right? Because you can't take it with you, and it was somebody's before it was yours. So while you have it, feel grateful that you have it and not that you were entitled to it or you
Yes.
deserve it. Because at that point, you're starting with a negative to a negative. I'm less, and then I'm going to be less again versus I'm more. And I could take where I'm more and add to it because you will never have less than what you already start with. So, with that said, we've got gentleman Albert Innocent. So glad to have you. I know comments sometimes lag. So, I think coming back to gratitude, it's also being the object of someone's gratitude to or from you, right? So you could create gratitude by giving a lot of value so someone thinks they're lucky to be with you.
Yeah.
So it's not just you grateful for things, you creating something that someone else would be grateful for. What's your thoughts, Sarah?
Absolutely. And it's not always like you've just said about ourselves, it's about other people. What can we do to others or for others without expectation?
Hmm.
There'll be people in our lives that have contributed greatly in one way or another, and we can express that gratitude to them. And we can be humble as well and recognize that there's many people affected our lives in positive ways, some of which we might never be able to repay on a monetary value, but we can express the depths of our gratitude to these people for the impact that they've made within our lives.
Oh, absolutely. And one has to also look at the gratitude you have for things and people that have already passed.
Yeah.
So it's not like everybody has to, raise their hand every day or perform every day in order to be in the grateful list. You realize who are you and why are you who you are based on who helped you become who you are,
Yes.
right? How many grandparents or uncles or aunts or you name it, teachers that did something just at the right time for you that moved you, like you said, in a much better direction, getting much better returns on your investment in yourself and people. And it's a happier way to live. So I don't know what right and wrong or good or bad is, but I know what happy feels like, right? And if you can make people happy in the moment, they're grateful for that opportunity because it's a rare opportunity that you can be among people and be so happy. And it does tell you that's how happy you can always be. You have that capacity and you're showing it. So, Sarah, what's your thoughts?
Yes. And we can be grateful for the people in our lives, but we can also come back to ourselves and be grateful for the experiences that we've had. And there's many ways to practice gratitude, as I mentioned earlier about saying thank you. But we could keep a journal of our days, and then as we read it, we can look back over the past and see what we've had gratitude for, see if whatever it is still in our life. But I think as well, it's also good to keep a record or at least remember some of the bad times. And then when we look back, we can see how far we've come from where we were. And that bolsters our self love, self esteem, and courage sometimes because we'll have stepped forwards. We definitely won't be in that same situation. We'll have moved somehow, some distance forwards. And we can express gratitude by using our senses. What can I feel, hear, touch, see to have gratitude for? And which grounds us in that moment. It takes us out of the future because quite often we're in the future worrying about what am I going to have for dinner, or is it somebody's birthday that I've missed, or what am I doing next week? When we ground ourselves in the now and have gratitude for whatever we've got around us, I have gratitude that I'm able to have a computer with an extra screen so I can use the two screens. I have gratitude to be able to have a mobile phone, because there's people in the world that don't have. And that helps me to stay in touch with people, especially family over the water. But it's not just the bigger things as well. It's like I have gratitude. It rained a little bit last night. It wasn't a lot. I would have liked more, but I'm so grateful that we had some rain, because Spain is so dry. And it's, the little things. I was able to cook a lunch for us today. I have gratitude that we could buy the food and nourish our bodies with the food that we chose. So it doesn't have to be the really big things like a phone or a car or a holiday. They're nice things to have. But I am grateful that I have a roof over my head. I am grateful that I have food in my fridge and pantry. I'm grateful I have clothes to wear that befit the season that we're in. I'm grateful that I've got shoes to protect my feet and go out dog walking. There's so much to have gratitude for in the world. But just think little, and I'm grateful there's blue sky and sunshine outside. Just bring it back to those little things. It doesn't have to be those big things. And a lot of people get stuck on, well, I haven't had a holiday this year, or I haven't changed my phone this year, or, I haven't got the latest, greatest, whatever. Rein it back in. I'm grateful that I've woken up. I'm grateful that I don't have pain. I'm grateful that I can eat. There's so much in the world to have gratitude for. And we don't even need to compare ourselves to others. I mean, some do, and there's a lot of people a lot worse off than ourselves. But it's not about comparing and contrasting. It's about, what have I got in my life that's helping me live the life I want? And if I'm not living the life I want, what can I do? What steps can I take to move myself sideways before I move forwards, or just to move forwards? And have gratitude that we're able to make those choices and take those steps, even if they're baby steps. Most of us are able to do something to improve something in our life, but have gratitude for what we've got. And I read recently, if you can't have gratitude for what you've got, what makes you think you're going to be grateful to have more? And that really resonated, because I know you, like myself, are into minimalism. We don't have lots and lots of possessions. We've pared it all down to the basics, to things that make us happy. But I know people that are surrounded in stuff and are still not happy, because they're looking for that happiness externally, and it's internal. It's an internal happiness. So find that happiness, and then have gratitude for finding that happiness, for being who we are, and for having what we've got.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because people who can attract what they need try to acquire what they think they need.
Yes.
Right? So someone doesn't have a relationship, they buy a car. Someone doesn't have a career, they buy a house. And they find out, and I found out, that the more stuff you have, the more stuff has you.
Yes.
And after a while, you're suffocating by stuff all around you, right? Another this, and because there's always a spot for another picture. There's always, and at my point, that distracts from what I'm most focused in the moment. And I don't know what that's going to be until I'm in the moment. But if you're surrounded by distractions and sound systems and TVs and parties and people coming and going, you've just everybody took a little piece of you in a different direction. And that's why what's left in you is hardly anything. You've been diluted. And if you can reconstruct yourself by eliminating things. And I really do believe gratitude, two things from what you said is, you look at your shoes, you look at your watch, you look at anything, and all of that is connected to something else. So your shoes are connected to your foot. You're so happy your foot's in good shape, right? And so you could spend a whole day just progressing from my toe to my foot, whatever you can think of that you have that serves you, and it served you for a long time, most people don't appreciate their body until it fails them.
Yeah.
You know, pain is something they recognize. Inability to do something is something they recognize. But when everything's working perfect and you wake up and say, boy, I feel great today, you know, that took all that work from every part of you and every person around you to get you to today. You're the finished product as of the moment. And then from there, it's where you choose to take it. And some people, they continue to hit the gas and the brake all the time, right? When they're going on a smooth highway with nobody on the road and a beautiful day, you want to either accelerate and get somewhere faster, or you want to slow down and take it all in. And I think that's the second point, is to be grateful. When things are getting busier, you need to pull back, right? If you're in fast traffic, right, or a snowy road, you tend to pull back.
Yeah.
And get out of or stay away from that type of situation. Life is always trafficky.
Yes.
Right? You're always changing lanes. People are cutting you off. I mean, strangers, you name it. And how do you take control of you, not of the situation? And I think most people are trying to change things before they start adjusting to the things and then deciding, how do I make more changes? So incremental gratitude is important, and consistent gratitude. You know, every day I do the show, Ann says, good luck, have fun every day. And every day I say, thank you very much for your support every day. And it's just a routine, but the words still mean something.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're going to be in a house with someone, why not raise the vibration of the communication? Because again, most people don't talk unless there's an issue or there's a problem. And most of the retort is, well, why don't you just take care of it? You know, or hey, why don't you just do it instead of talking about it?
Yeah.
And that's why I think communication for gratitude is important, because sometimes you're not aware of what someone's really doing or giving.
Yeah.
Right? You just take it for granted, which is kind of the opposite of gratitude. So with that, let's get a couple of comments in here. Albert says, I'm enjoying the conversation. Kudos. Paul's here. Paul's got shows Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night. He's really knocking it out of the park. Hello, Sarah and Grandpa Don. Out of reverence, not age. You know, I had to show up for this word being a gratitude gangster. Sarah, I feel you and Michelle Whiteside, transformational thought, self-love, would have a magical conversation. And, you know, I think that's the part of gratitude, having people who are thinking of you and trying to pair you up with what could help you, support you. Not enough people have enough supportive people who are really sincerely rooting for you. You know, they're out there. When you say, I just got a job or I just got something, it's like, we're so happy. You know, we know how hard you've been looking, or everybody's been aware of it. Greetings from, wow, that's a distant place. Happy to be here, happy to have you. And what we're saying is international. There are no boundaries to goodness and gratitude. Sarah, I prefer to create and memories and experience things. Paul, I say, for me, gratitude has become a state of being and lifestyle, if you will, versus a word. Everything should be a lifestyle. You shouldn't be alienated from the life you deserve to live and are capable of living. It's you who can't get out of your own way most of the time. So let's go to Leslie. Okay, Leslie's here. Leslie was here yesterday. She was with Catherine Chadwick. Those two are quite a duo. They're going to be coming back next Saturday. I just want to share that Leslie does Think and Grow Rich on Fridays. Mind Over Matter audio event on Mondays is on my show on Saturdays. So, and that's just the start. You know, Leslie's probably been everywhere. And that's the beauty of it, is once you get somewhere, you hit the circuit, because everybody's looking for new guests, new ways of sharing. And plus, if you have a quality individual like Leslie, like Sarah, like Paul, all these people, they're you're providing a benefit to your people, because I think when people post, it's always what they're thinking, what they're into, but it's what's most valuable to the person who's going to read it. And it could be somebody else's post. It could be somebody else. Why not be that the share of the day? So Sarah, what's your thoughts?
I want to backtrack to you talking about being in the moment versus putting your foot on the gas and going forwards, because you're right in that aspect that life can be busy, 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 and we just get lost within that busy. And that's us tending to run on autopilot. We're just doing because we know we need to do. So if we take the foot off the gas and come back into that present moment, and put the foot on the brake for an analogy, it brings us back in to be able to think about what's going on right here, right now.
Mhm.
And that enables us to practice gratitude further, because we can be grateful for what we have within that moment, rather than keep busy, 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 moving forwards all the time, thinking about the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And we lose track of what we've got, what we have in our lives, who we've become, all the work that we've done to get to where we're at. So let's take a breather. Let's put the brakes on. Let's stop and take a moment to be thankful for everything that's happened in our lives, the positive and the negative, because there's lessons and blessings in all of it. And we wouldn't be where we are now without everything that's happened in our past. And if we're not liking where we're at now, we can make those different choices, but it takes reining it in and holding it back to make a full assessment of where we're at and a plan for where we're going. And in fact, I quite often think it's better to have a vision of where you want to be in the future, but maybe not plan out all those steps. You can start in taking baby steps on a journey towards that vision. But quite often, the journey can change, but keep holding that vision of where you want to be, if you're not happy with where you're at now. But even so, still, even though you're taking those baby steps, still think about what you can practice gratitude for, who you can thank for where you've got to now, because people will have helped you to become who you are, to get to where you're at. And I think smiling as well is a great way to practice gratitude, because it's an outward expression of that inner happiness. And a lot of people get so stuck in the rut, or their brains working at 100 miles an hour into the future, they can get lost in that future thinking or where they're going. And that smile just brings them back into the present moment. So we can always share our smile with anybody. And it's just such a great way to express gratitude as well. Smile, and the world smiles with you. I can't remember who said that, but it is that expression. I'm happy right here, right now, in this present moment. There's many other things that we can do, but smiling is such a good one, because it's contagious as well. As we smile, we can pass it on and share it with others.
Well, I think you're so right with smiling. It's an experience as well as an expression.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're smiling, unless you're totally faking it and it's not really a smile, then you had to generate something in yourself to get to that point.
Yeah.
Right? If you drop something on your toe, you couldn't say, I'm going to smile at that moment, right? It'd be difficult at minimum. And the other thing is, no rules apply when you're thinking and talking to yourself or to other things. I mean, how many people get in front of a picture and have a conversation for 20 minutes, right? With that person who passed on or is maybe overseas or whatever. And they wouldn't do that in front of people, right? Because, it just doesn't fit. So I think people have to open up and let loose to what works for them. What feels most comfortable, not what's most conventional or what's so popular. And I agree with you. Comparing to other people is giving your energy to something that has no connection with what you're dialing a phone that will never pick up, when you could have been really having a great conversation with somebody or yourself. So I think to your also point, which I think is so valid, is plan your day as well as you plan your wardrobe. Right? Every day you wake up and, you don't know what you're going to wear. You just start, pick this, pick this, pick this. And if it all feels good, that's it. Well, why can't you just pick who I'm going to spend time with today? Right? Organize your wardrobe of people, of your subjects, and of your fun. Some days if you're feeling great, you think, well, I can really do well in business because I'm going to be great. But you could still take that whole persona and go to a museum, go to something that's just for you and be the best you can at that. Usually people do that stuff when I'm overwhelmed, I can't take it more, let's go to a movie, so that's like to get rid of something or to just get to normal, when maybe that should be the start of something. Is start your day with yourself, and that's where exercise, that's where meditation, yoga, whatever it does to get you to be better for yourself and stronger for everybody else. Because it's all energy. It's all energy. When you're high energy, you could do anything forever. And when you're low energy, just getting up and changing a channel is like drudgery. Or I've got a anyways, everybody knows what I'm talking about, but the beautiful thing is you have control over it, or it has control over you, right? And you can just decide, I'm taking over from here. And you're only talking to yourself, how hard it is to give something up that you're demanding from yourself, and what is the reason you're resisting. Or last thing before I turn it over to Sarah is fast forward. Okay, you're in a funk. How long is this going to last? Knowing it's not helping. 30 minutes from now, an hour, do you got to spend another hour to figure out you're no better, probably worse than the hour before? So it's motivation, it's discipline, it's confidence, it's courage, but it all lends itself to gratitude. And if you're part of something bigger than yourself, you move forward even if you wouldn't have done it for yourself. So if 5 people are waiting on you, you're going to try to deliver than if it was just yourself. Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, Don, quite often when we're in a funk, we forget that we have the power of choice. We can choose to acknowledge that maybe things aren't going right, or we're feeling a bit negative or sad or down, or acknowledge that emotion. And then I read somewhere recently that it's a good idea to set a time limit to be with that, whether it's 5 minutes or 30 minutes, so it doesn't matter, whatever feels right for you, but set a short-ish time frame so that you can be with that emotion and feel it and express it. But then choose at what time you're going to change your mindset and look at something, read something on the internet, or look at something funny, or read a book, or go out for a walk, or even move the furniture around in the house, because as you rightly say, everything's energy. And when we start rearranging our house and our furniture, we're changing that energy, and that has a positive impact on our mind. Even decluttering our space, if we start to just clean the house, or start to clear out and start to bag up some stuff for charity, bag up some stuff to put in the bin, it's all changing that energy, and that will impact our mindset, which will impact our mood as well. So there's so much that we can do for ourselves. But I think, because I've been in that funk, when I had that depression, and for the first year, because I was in it for a long time, I was all about, look at me, I'm the victim. And I just didn't realize that I could choose to change the way I feel, and I could choose to step out and watch a comedy and feel different. I was just so deep in that darkness. So recognize we have got the power of choice, and there are things that we can do. And it's about, what do you like to do? What gives you energy? What energizes you? Do more of that. What do you love to do? You know, if you could do whatever you wanted in the world, what would you love to do? And make waves towards that. And if you know, even the smallest things, can you watch a comedy on the TV? Can you listen to some uplifting music on the radio or on a video channel online? Can you go out for a walk in the fresh air? I mean, green space is a great healer, but if you're not around green space, just getting outside and walking, there's so much that we can do. And then express gratitude that you had that power of choice, that you were able to paint a picture, go for a walk, watch a comedy, read a book. There's so much that we can do for ourselves, but you have to remember that you've got that power of choice. You can choose to do things that will help you to feel better. And when you recognize that, you can start to do that. But until you recognize that, you will stay in that negative, dark place. So it is about remembering you've got the power of choice. And people can say, and do say, well, it's easier said than done. Yes, it is in some ways, but in other ways, it is literally about flicking a switch. You know, I'm going to turn the TV on and I'm going to choose to watch a comedy. I'm going to put uplifting music on. I'm going to dance. It's all about changing that energy around us. And as we change the energy, we will automatically lift our mood, and we can express gratitude that we've had that power of choice, that we've been able to turn the TV on or the radio or listen to music or go for a walk. And gratitude is the crux of it, because when we appreciate what we can do to take us out of those dark places, we can do so much more, because it's those little steps, and expressing appreciation for every little step that we take moving forward opens up our world. With every step, there's more world out there to explore, whether that world is within your local village, whether that world is truly the world as it is. But there's so much out there to do, to see, to be. So let's take advantage of that and choose to change.
Yeah, I mean, that is so worthwhile, because coming from the lowest low one can think of as far as their state gives everybody context when they move away from it. But if you have the energy and the will to move away from it, you continue to expand beyond where you used to be too, with that momentum, with that energy. And you have something to compare against, because when things happen that aren't very nice unexpectedly, I always say, I've been through worse, or I've been through this enough that I know how to work with it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not work against it, but to work with it, and also to decide when I'm going to work with it. You know, there are situations that come to your life like losing somebody, and it doesn't take long to figure out you're not going to get over this in a day or two. So once you identify that and say, well, if it's going to take maybe the rest of my life or a year or whatever it is, I'll do it on my terms, right? Because it's a long-term situation, doesn't require short-term action. And I think that's where, again, you rearrange your day to be the happiest day. But on the other side of it, people who have happy, successful, organized choice lives that they choose are happy, and doing it again is easy. It's not a chance anymore. It's a repetition, right? If you like something for breakfast every day, there's no reason not to have it every day that you like it every day. You know, some people just want to change for change sakes. And no, if it's not broke, don't worry about it. Work on something that needs your assistance, and most of it is you, because what's the point of doing everything, going through everything, if there's not a way of savoring it, celebrating it, staying with it? Why do you need to change it? Because things change so quickly. It's the things that are changing. You don't have to change as quickly. You should almost, like I say, take the other approach. I'm going to relax more in a busy world. I'm going to give myself more time. I'm going to decide to eat the best I can, exercise the most I can, and that's what you're doing, the most, the best you can, not the most or best that people tell you or other people are doing it. Because if they're doing more of that, they're doing less of what you're doing that you're doing more of. Everybody's got the same time. And what is moving you forward, and what is keeping you stuck, and what is moving you backwards? And the last thing you ever want to do is go backwards. There's a saying, it's better to be in the dark than move to the light and then go back to the dark, right? You're better off not seeing what was if you're never going to have it again, and you're not going to feel fulfilled. So let me just cover some of these wonderful comments. Paul says, my new definition of gratitude is the light in a room full of darkness. That's so well put, so illuminating. Leslie says, we are having fun, for sure. And we deserve fun. We deserve everything life has to offer because we're in it. We're part of it. Why, if it's a life buffet, what are you moving through all the delicious opportunities? Are you making sure you have full plates of whatever you need or want? And I think that's important. Paul commends Leslie. If we're always chasing things, we'll always be looking but not actually seeing, blinded by busyness, I would assume. So well put, Paul. I'm grateful to the idea that has used me. Alfred Adler, great quote. And you can be more than yourself, and you should be, by attaching to other people, to other ideas, to change when it makes sense, and be open to change. You don't have to change, but you should be available to it. If something comes your way, it's like, yeah, I can rearrange this to make it happen, and I think you got to believe there's a person who you have yet to meet, either in word or vision, that's going to come into your life at least this year, maybe more than one, and things you're going to learn you had no knowledge of going into the year. So build that into your plan, is the belief in the unknown mystery of serendipity. You want to, like Sarah says, you want to be able to dance at your highest level, sing at your highest level, with no filters, nothing, just 100% you projecting out with no resistance. And I think that should be an exercise. We've got.
Can I just add in there, Don? Sorry to cut in.
No, please.
I think as well, another great saying to help people on their way is to any degree possible. Because we've all got our own limitations, more or less, depending on our mood on the day and what's going on. So do whatever it is that you are aiming to do to any degree possible. And that then gives you that flexibility to say, well, I haven't got to take that great big leap of faith or have the courage to do that. I can just do it to any degree possible, but it's still moving forwards.
Oh, absolutely. And you are you, and that's all you're ever going to be, in a sense, to be complete. That's all you need. And when you decide to take a small step, you haven't discounted your ability to take more steps or bigger steps, right? So, it's easier for someone to hand you a book and say, can you read a page a night? And everybody can say a page, that take me about a minute, maybe less. Sure, but what happens is you read a page and you want to decide tomorrow I want to read 2 pages. Yeah. And pretty soon you're into it, and you're reading a book faster than you would. Actually, you're reading a book you would have never read, and now you're reading it in a way that says, I like this. right? And because you like it, now it took the place of something that you didn't like as much or didn't serve you anymore as much. Because, people are so fast to throw things out of the refrigerator that pass a certain date, right? I mean, it's like, oh, this is a week old. Sometimes it deserves to be thrown out, but they don't look at things that are even more fundamental to their health, that they keep habits, they keep relationships, they keep things. Why? Because they're there. And there was a saying when you were restructuring a business, is everything you look at, because everybody's either time or money pressed or both. When you look at it, you have to ask yourself, if I didn't own this, would I buy it right now with my circumstances? And if the answer is no, then you got to sell it. And that's how you go through something, is if I didn't own it, would I buy? And if the answer is no, then give it away to someone who can use it, sell it, and get space. You got to buy back space after you bought products and services to fill the space. And you might have done it during a different part of your life when you wanted color around you and you wanted high ceilings and you wanted expansive this and it's easier to talk about it after you've had it.
Yes.
and experienced it. Everybody who says money's the answer has probably never had any.
Yeah.
Right? Or they know it's not the answer. Money makes good people better and bad people worse. So it's the person that's important. So getting to some of these comments, Leslie says every idea can manifest. She'll be grateful every day for ideas. Natalie, who is such a great artist and has such beautiful paintings that she posts every day, loving that idea about moving furniture around. Michelle, new name. Thank you for being here today. Transformation through self-love. Candles are brightest in the dark. And we can all shine so bright. And that's Kelly's saying, and I think, why not? You're not only here for an instant relative to so many other things. And no one cares as much about you as you think they care about you, as far as if you make a mistake. I mean, let me ask you this question. If you've been on LinkedIn, when's the last time you ever thought, oh, that person posted that 2 days in a row? Or oh, that you don't even, it's like you're happy they did something. Because look at all the people who don't do anything. And I always tell people, don't take criticism from someone who's criticizing what you're doing, who has never done it or can't do it. But all of a sudden they decide to judge. And, they're taking your power away from you for whatever reason, because they never built a statue for a critic yet. It's always people have done things or people that were something. So, I agree. Candles are brighter. Paul comes back with through self. It's so great to see you, my friend. You'd love to chat with Sarah. And Paul is a good connector like that. He loves to share. And I think that's part of gratitude, is having things two people can be grateful for at the same time. It doesn't have to be an individual thing. It doesn't have to be your turn. It could be our turn. And you can include somebody in that. You can say, you did something great, right? And you got a recommendation or a medal or something. Well, the person who was with you, supporting you, deserves to share in it, right? When someone wins an Academy Award, they don't say, thank you, I deserve it. What do they say? Thank you, mom and dad. Thank you, my producer. Thank you. I mean, and they had a list. And how grateful is that? And they didn't even know they were going to win. And they prepared all the gratitude in the world. And even the people who lost, at least it recognized the people who helped them get nominated or be in the running. So I think that's a key thing, is if you're into things bigger than yourself, you'll lose yourself in them. And you'll probably lose the worst of yourself and just take forward the best of yourself. And people love it. Like, oh, you're going to include me, right? You did 80% of it and you're going to give me credit, and why not? Because that shows your gratitude has action to it, right? Not that I got an award and I'm going to hide it. I'm going to hold it next to me wherever I go. It's like, you know, even like hockey teams, when you see when they win, they shared a trophy, right? The star might have received a trophy, but they pass it around. Everybody skates with it. I mean, all these things. And it becomes, hey, I'm part of something, a team. And I think that's what we build here. Is in the past, access was limited. You had to go through channels. You had to get permission. You were in a village or you were in a city. That was your circle. Now you got the world. Now you've got something like that you're a broadcaster, that people can come here today. So the question then becomes, what's your question? Right? If you got people with answers, if you got people with experiences, and you have people that can help you, and you're right with them, how hard is it to raise your hand in the most respectful way and ask it? Because now at least you asked it. Whether you got your answer yet, you did take that action, and now you've got other people's consciousness thinking about it. And then before you know it, you get a link here, a book here, a quote there, and that's where you start building from. So Leslie says 2 days in a row is good. Repetition is the first law of learning. Paul comes back with, I've learned a lot by letting go of my ego from you. Thank you. One of the many things I'm grateful to you for. Well, you know, when you find a well that is really just transformational, where you can go sip little bits whenever you need it and not come out with a gallon that you're going to have to ration. It's abundance, right? You know, when you know it's always there for you, you don't have to grab a bunch. How much milk do you buy when you go to the grocery store? Not 20 gallons just in case cows disappear, right? You buy enough to get by. And if you're short a day without milk, it's not the end of the world. And I think if everybody just says, you know, what do I need to be happy? Not what I like, what could I use, or what do I want? You know, and just like eating, either eat to live or you live to eat. But if you know there's another meal as quick as you can get the last one, where is the urgency? And I think that's coming from abundance versus scarcity. Charles is here from, I haven't seen you a bit. I'm always looking at your post, Charles, from Hong Kong. I mean, it's about 11:30 p.m. there. So to tune in that late at night. And Charles is just a wonderful gentleman. And he's actually made one of the biggest differences in the show, because he was the one who suggested the word of the day before he came on his show, and we've adopted it. So, you know, everybody's success is based on everybody who put a little brick in the wall that had their name on it. And when you reach that level of recognition or appreciation, you know it's easy to accept, because you know it wasn't all you. You didn't deserve all the credit, and you're happy that, you know, that because of other people's contribution, people had opened doors for you, and you rose on their shoulders who came before you. You know, that's gratitude. You've got all that going for you. So thank you, Charles. Can't thank you enough. So Sarah, you know, this is such a heartwarming subject, because I believe everybody believes you can do what we're saying you can do and achieve what we're talking about.
Yes, yeah, and sometimes we can have that self-doubt. And as I said previously, if we look back at where we've come from, we've all grown and evolved. And courage, we grow courage the more we step out of our comfort zone. It gives us courage and confidence. So if we can take those baby steps and then look back at where we've come from, we can see just how much we've moved forwards and grown in our lives. And that will help to propel us forwards towards whatever it is that we're looking for, while still being grateful for everything we've gone through, and bringing ourselves back to the moment at some point in every day, just to ground ourselves in that day. To where we've come from, to where we're actually at now, before we move forwards again on our journey. And just want to touch on words as well, because words are really, really powerful. And as Leslie alluded to, we can manifest, but we need to be aware of the words that we're using, because quite often we might say, I don't want to be sick, and I don't want that. And so we're using negative words, and the universe doesn't understand the negative words. So let's flip that around and say, I want to be well, I want to move forwards, I want to be. So we're putting it in positive words. We're sharing our wants, our likes, our desires, of our vision for our future. And again, it comes back to that not being negative, not using negative words. It's easy to say, well, do you know, it's barely rained in Spain. It's so dry. That's more of a criticism. To say I'm grateful for the sunshine, and I'm grateful for the little bit of dew that we have in the morning. And flip it around. Look for the positives, because there's always something to be grateful for. There's always something positive in your life. And as that little saying goes, some days we might have to look a little harder, but there is always something. You could have a cup of coffee when you wanted one, or you've got shoes to put on to go outside. You've got a bed to sleep in with clean linen in it. There's always little things like that to be grateful for. So just keep expressing that gratitude, but be very wary of the words that you use. So it's more of a gratitude and appreciation rather than a complaint and a negative word, because the universe is always listening and it will manifest what it is that we're thinking about. So make sure your thoughts are in the right place. And I didn't even realize that was a thing until I started doing my coaching and started reading some books. And manifestation is about working out what you don't want at first, to rule it out. So I don't want to be ill. I don't want this, or I don't want that. To work out what I do want, to be able to, so I can let go of what I don't want. I do want health. I do want to be pain-free. I do want a drop more rain, please. Thank you. And express that gratitude for it now in the present moment. By all means, have that vision in the future, but when you bring it into the present moment, we can express gratitude as if it's already happened. And it will manifest in our lives, because we're expressing gratitude. We don't normally do that until after something has happened to express that gratitude for. But if we can do that before the events happened, but hold that vision of whatever it is, we can bring that into our lives. And manifestation really is just about an exchange of energy, because everything is energy. So we draw that to us by thinking about it and expressing that gratitude, using those positive words, and being very hyper aware of the words that we use.
Yeah, you're so right on. And what I realized too is, just like filling a jar full of something and even packing it in, at a certain point in life, you say, if it ended today, I loved the whole ride. I was so lucky. And at that point, everything is gravy. You don't have to keep refilling it to get full again. You can just say, I'm over that. I've accumulated enough of gratitude for me to be eternally grateful, right? For what I've had, and anything more is things I never anticipated, because no one guarantees tomorrow to anybody, right? And based on that, today is your chance to manifest, to actualize. And that's the least reason for embarrassment or anything, or shame, when you try to do something, especially with good intent, because that's all that matters. The result, there's a saying, it's not how many times you fall down, it's how fast you get up, right? I mean, things are going to knock you down, and they will. And the older you get, the stronger you have to be to support what used to take less time, less energy, and less thought. So knowing that, that's why you have to make room. It's like if company is coming, right? You have to make space for that person. It might move somebody out or move some furniture in. And that's the same thing in your life. If you say, hey, I'm going to need more reserve, I'm going to need a bigger fuel tank. I'm going to need a better support group. When people say, how do you do this every day for like 400 days? It's like, I've been exercising every day for 400 days, right? I eat breakfast every day for 400 days. And it really frames the next day. Because on Saturday, I could say, well, I'm going to be talking to Sarah on Sunday. On Monday, I'm going to be talking to Gretchen. And you have all these wonderful people that you see once a week, once every 2 or 3 weeks, but you continue where you left off. And the audience is an invitation to participate and also experience. If it was just me and Sarah talking, it'd be the same conversation that we're having, but with the benefit of feedback, also new ideas, new thoughts. So why not multiply your ability to be grateful within a group that's striving to help everybody else with gratitude and uplifting thought? Because if you're around somebody and something long enough, the next thing you move to, you'll definitely have a comparison, right? If you say, boy, I was so happy, I was so excited, I was so everything, talk to this person, and now why did I take that elevator down? And what you decide is, well, I'm not pressing that button anymore. And those are the things that eliminate the negative. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm strong, I can deal with more. Why? This is beautiful, I don't mind a blemish. Instead of saying, how do we keep it this way? How do we help other people? And, if you look at like ceramics, right? Someone will do their thing and then they'll start helping somebody else with theirs. Or, and pretty soon everybody gets more beautiful art and it's more fun, right? Especially if you're open. Hey, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? So let me just cover some more of these wonderful comments. Charles says, never give up, never. Network, enjoy, vision, embrace change, respond, don't react. Charles is one of the smartest guys I know and one of the wisest, and a person who exudes gratitude for what he does and who he is. So hats off to Charles. Paul, supporting people doesn't hinder my success, it only enhances it. Why not leave the log pile bigger than you found it? Just because you can, not because of any other reason. And people appreciate, well, they gave more than we ever expected. Well, they were capable and they loved doing it. So it wasn't like, oh, I owe them. It's like, I'm grateful for them. Moving on to Paul again. There's a line in the scroll, Sarah, that says, I create my own weather. Gratitude is an instant paradigm shifter. Yeah, Paul's getting wiser all day. Your thoughts, Sarah?
I was just going to say, isn't it just? Yes, gratitude shifts our paradigm. It just flicks that switch in our minds and opens us up to more positive things. And as you were saying, we can help people. It doesn't have to cost us anything but our time. Because a lot of people wonder about, am I going to have to pay for this experience? But we can help people. We can share with people without it costing anything but our time. And isn't it? I mean, a lot of people like to be the givers, and they themselves derive pleasure from the giving. And other people like to be the receivers, and they derive pleasure from receiving. And then you've got people in both camps that like to give and receive. And all of it, giving, receiving, and the both together, derive pleasure for the participants. And isn't it nice to be given something, but isn't it also nice to give with no expectations? And just when we receive, just a simple thank you and even a hug goes such a long way. And it's a great expression of gratitude just to give somebody a hug.
It's also a great expression of humanity. And the other element is being so thankful for what you don't have and didn't happen. I remember being in a situation where I was so sure I was going to be in an accident. All I did was close my eyes, hit the gas, and wait for the noise. And it didn't happen. And I couldn't believe it. I saw this truck, coming right at I said, don't hit me in the door. And I just, and nothing happened. And I couldn't believe it. And, I had to pull over for about 10 minutes just to get settled.
Yeah.
Because it was, and I was so grateful. And I didn't understand how it didn't happen. And how many times in your life did you for sure expect the worst and nothing ever happened? But you were so sure it was going to happen. And when it didn't, you were so grateful. So, they say, if you have a sore hand, hit your toe with a hammer, you won't think of your hand anymore. Right. And I think that's how people have to look at things in the full spectrum of not where I am and why I'm not more. It's look at where I came from.
Yes.
And look at what I have now. And I even at this show look back 11 months ago and say, what was the lineup of people? What were the videos? And you can see how growth, evolution, importance has brought things together. Because this show to me is more art at this point, because I've learned the audience becomes part of it if they interact and are aligned with it. And I've had audiences that were huge, but it was just noise. It was just people coming and going and being seen and seen. And what you want to do when the end of these shows, because this will be here forever, people will watch us. People will never see, never know. And it's a ripple, because it's the value of what we're saying in relationship to the value it could bring other people. Most people talk because their stuff is really, they believe it has value. It probably does. But did they really inoculate someone? Did they make sure they got all they needed to change? And what I love is I can name 17 people who've gone on to do their own shows who never did a show 6 months ago. And that's so beautiful, because it's like putting people in orbit. And when they go in orbit, they're bringing more people to shows. And I think the answer to all the world's issues is getting to know each other, communicate on an equal level with each other, and understanding starts to happen. And what we find out, we're more alike than we ever thought we were different. Right? Everybody's got a story. Everybody's story is important. Everybody should have the ability to share it with the people who would best appreciate them and it. So it's let me just finish. I think I might have actually. Oh no, I got 3 more. One of my favorite quotes about gratitude is, gratitude allows us to sustain optimism. Michael J. Fox, for sure. You got to be on your side of the fence all the time. You got to be your biggest fan. That is how I am living my life. All my challenges have become my greatest gifts, allowing me to be a channel and help people and teams to find their light and finding gratitude. I mean, I think that's so virtuous in the most authentic way, is being able to share yourself with people really could benefit. And that's the gratitude, is my ability to help people and get these wonderful text messages and emails saying your show with Sarah allowed me to do this or not allowed me to do that. I'm grateful for my soul brothers and sisters. Okay, Neil Falora, Tara Morning, Michael, okay, Leslie, and my bestie, Lindsay Elizabeth. My network truly has become my algorithm. Well, everybody's network. Well, here's one more from Michelle. Yes, connection, open heart, one person at a time. So right. Is you can be who the people around you are if you earn admission to them. And the way to do that is be someone they're grateful to have in their life. And at that point, they're going to want to do everything they can to keep you in their life. And all of a sudden, you're not dependent on one thing or one person. And when you know that, because I always know, hey, if this doesn't go right, I got something else to do. I'm always got another thing. I've always got another person. I've always got a person I can meet, that I don't know. So when you say, oh, I need this, No, you only think you do because you've done nothing to see what else is out there. And all of a sudden, hey, I got 10 people. I always look at a no as a regift. So if someone says, I don't have time, well, I know there's someone else who probably does have time, and they'll probably thank you for being the next choice. So, Sarah, what do you say? Another great show. Gratitude. You were unbelievable again.
Absolutely. And I am grateful to you, Don, and I am grateful for all the listeners who have been with us today and shared their thoughts and ideas with us. Because, I learn from you, and I also learn from your audience as well through their comments.
Well, that's great. And I learned myself, and I think one thing we have learned is we're capable of more learning, more expanding, more growth, and it could be today, it could be tomorrow. But if you're in the game, if you're where everybody's playing, you're going to get in games. You're going to be with other players. And that's so much better than where a person could be, which is in bed, sitting on a couch, sitting in a chair, waiting for the day to end before it even began, thinking of their next meal, and again, life waits for no one, time waits for no one. You have to make your own life, you have to make your own time. And this is the best way I know, because it's enriching, fulfilling, and it also is cathartic. It allows people to cleanse, to express, to get rid of things, or even to get people to share, what do you think? And a lot of times enough people think that, well, hey, I should be thinking that. So come back in 23 hours. Kelly's going to be here tomorrow, and look forward to sharing and learning together as time goes on. Thank you again so much, Sarah. Bye for now.